Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including new discounts up to $40,000 off, Tesla safety features coming in software, battery health testing, and more, so let's get into it, and a special thanks to Fanttik for sponsoring this video. First up today, Tesla is always pushing out new software updates, and it's a great part of owning a Tesla. You're always getting new features throughout ownership, and the car is improving. If you look back a couple years, it can be pretty impressive all the new features that your car has. And in the latest version of Tesla software, there are a few undocumented changes, as well as one pretty exciting one. The latest version, 2025.8.3 of Tesla software, has introduced a new battery health test. Many worry about their Tesla batteries over time because these can degrade, and some people worry they're degrading faster than they should. It can be a bit confusing as to what you expect here because Tesla has their EPA estimated range, there's also the real-world range that you actually get, there's the displayed range on screen, and then there's the trip estimated range, and all of those numbers can somewhat differ if you're really paying a lot of attention. In my personal opinion, I think it's best to just set your car to percentage and not really pay too much attention to this, because things will vary over time. Usually with degradation, the steepest drop-off actually happens towards the beginning of ownership, and then it levels off. But still, people will worry that their battery is degrading too much, so this new feature has been introduced by Tesla that's very accessible. It's not deep in service mode or anything, it's just on the service menu. You go to Controls, Service, Battery Health. And it's a true real test that will take hours to complete and tell you how your battery is doing. Quote, your vehicle's high voltage battery, like all rechargeable batteries, becomes less effective with age and use. To extend its energy retention, keep your vehicle plugged in when not in use and charged to the recommended limit. This test will compare the battery to when it was brand new, and it may recalibrate the estimated range on screen, and the results from it are valid for 6 months. It seems like you can't actually perform another one of these tests for another 6 months until those results actually expire. Quote, to perform the test, your vehicle must remain connected to an AC charging station for up to 16 hours. So this is a serious battery test that it's doing here. It's not just quickly throwing out some numbers as to how it's doing. It's taking 16 hours to complete this entire process and analyze your entire battery pack. I think it's something that will be very exciting for a lot of customers, since they can at least run this thing and see if anything is wrong. For most people, though, it will probably take 16 hours and then return a result that says, good, your battery is exactly performing as expected. In any case, along with this in this software update came some minor improvements to the consumption page and bug fixes. Then we've seen the option to adjust air suspension from the app with the Cybertruck, and two undocumented changes include a redesigned rainbow road with blue lines removed and an updated Bluetooth page with a streaming section. Basically, when you're on the Bluetooth page, it's going to inform you that you can also use the built-in streaming to your car. And it's probably something they put there to let owners know of the features that this car has, because maybe they're always relying on Bluetooth and didn't realize that this stuff is built in on screen. As always, these improvements are great to see, and then later in this video, we'll talk a little bit about new improvements they've added to Sentry mode. Next up today, Tesla is always in the process of running a bunch of different deals and incentives for their business. But another big part of their business is incentives that come from elsewhere, of course. The Model 3 and Y still fully qualify for the federal EV tax credit, even though there have been a lot of reports that that should go away sometime later this year because this new administration does not want that in place. Still, for the time being, it qualifies along with the base model of the Cybertruck. If you get that base model, you can claim that $7,500 tax credit if you qualify. So for the Cybertruck right now, there's $1,000 off with somebody's referral link. Then there are pretty decent discounts available through inventory on demo vehicles. Those discounts tend to be for non-Foundation series trucks. Here I'm seeing discounts up to about $6,500 off for demo vehicles with up to a couple thousand miles. For that $7,500 tax credit, there is an $80,000 price cap, so that means even with the referral discount, you can't upgrade anything on the Cybertruck. The interior is $2,000 extra and the wheels are $3,500 extra. But separately, there are still a decent amount of Foundation series Cybertrucks left, and there's discounts up to $6,260 off of the all-wheel drive Foundation series Cybertruck, and up to $5,990 off the Cyber Beast Foundation series Cybertruck, which makes that version $114,000 instead of about $120,000. Of course, the Foundation series now includes full self-driving, a bunch of accessories, and then the big one now, lifetime free supercharging. So those deals are all in place, but Tesla is now detailing a new business incentive that could make the Cybertruck a smart move for many businesses. Under Section 179, quote, qualifying businesses may claim a deduction of up to $31,300 when purchasing a new Tesla vehicle with a gross vehicle weight rating, GVWR, of at least 6,000 pounds. To qualify for the tax deduction, vehicles must be operated for legitimate business use greater than 50% of the time. For businesses, they can also claim the $7,500 tax credit, and this was detailed by Tesla's head of B2B, saying, "Cybertruck is ready to power your business. Qualifying businesses may claim a deduction of up to $31,300, plus eligible businesses and tax-exempt organizations can claim up to a $7,500 tax credit." So it seems that for the $7,500, we're locked to a base model, so we can start at $79,990. Take off $1,000 of that with a referral link, and we're at $78,990. Take off the $7,500, we're down to $71,490. And then as a business, if you can take off that full $31,300, you're looking at $40,190 for the cost of the Cybertruck. Now, this math doesn't usually work out one-to-one. It's not like you're buying the car out the door for that cost, but it can work on the back end after you run all the numbers through your business and you take a certain deduction. Still, that's a pretty amazing price for what the Cybertruck delivers. And then they're also offering APR of 1.99% right now until March 31st. So the incentives for the Cybertruck are pretty decent right now, but of course this truck is still expensive and the rear-wheel drive version is expected later this year. They've gotten official approval for selling that vehicle and it's qualified for the tax credit, they just actually need to sell it. So that's a discount of almost $40,000 on the Cybertruck that is readily available if you qualify and are buying it for business uses. Next up today, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Fanttik. I've recommended their products before, but they have now released their X9 Apex tire inflator, which is the best preventative measure you can take against low tire pressure while on the road. It delivers a maximum air pressure of 150 pounds per square inch, which means it can inflate much faster than most other devices on the market. It can inflate from 28 to 33 psi in just 35 seconds while only weighing 1.87 pounds. It's extremely easy to handle and store for any scenario, and comes with 5 smart inflation modes that automatically stop when it detects the tire is at full pressure. Thanks to its long-lasting battery, it can inflate up to 27 tires on a charge, and it holds its charge well over extended periods. You can also utilize that battery as a power bank with its built-in cable. Then the V8 Apex 4-in-1 car vacuum is always great to have on hand for any unexpected messes, and can vacuum, deflate, inflate, and blow air. It comes with 10 accessories, has strong suction power of 44 air watts and 19,000 pascals, and features a blowing mode to clear leaves off of a windshield, get dirt out of crevices, inflate air mattresses, and more. Right now, Fanttik is running their big spring sale, so check out the links in the description below and use my coupon codes RyanX9 Apex or RyanV8 Apex for 42% off the X9 tire inflator or 47% off the V8 4-in-1 car vacuum. But on very much the other side of things, Tesla is still running a lot of discounts for the legacy version of the Model Y. The new Model Y is officially the only car you can order on their website new through the configurator, so the old Model Y is now only in inventory and it's starting to run out. As such, there are many inventory discounts available, especially on performance models. I'm seeing discounts up to $8,100 off readily available near me, and you can stack that with $500 off from the referral as well. Then, of course, there's the tax credit, which ultimately makes this performance Model Y $37,890 out the door. A very incredible deal for a very good car. Soon enough, though, it does seem like we're going to sell out of Model Y inventory, and it's only going to be this new version. So for a little bit of time at least, we're only going to have the launch series version. But then eventually we should hopefully get the rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive long range, and then maybe a performance model announced from Tesla later this year. Then it will be a little bit of time, but I assume we'll see some inventory discounts on the new version, probably by the end of the year. In any case, for the Model 3, there are some inventory discounts available as well, but it's a very different situation than the Model Y, so we're only seeing pretty small discounts for demo vehicles specifically. At the same time, Tesla is running 0% APR for all Model 3s right now, and that is ending on March 31st. If you've been planning to finance your car, Tesla is running a lot of great APR incentives right now, so it's definitely worth checking out and maybe doing the math. The math can sometimes be complicated, so there are various calculators online that will calculate this for you, or you could use AI because it does a really great job where you just explain your exact situation and it will spit out the numbers and tell you exactly what you'll be paying over time and how much you'd be saving by taking advantage of one of these deals instead of waiting. With that said, inventory of the Model Y is running out. It's low near me, and there's performance models only. And then according to Sawyer Merritt, it is sold out in many states like Texas, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, and this whole entire list. As always, Tesla is running a lot of incentives, and there are a lot of good options available to get these cars at a decent price. Although right now is a bit of a tumultuous time for Tesla. Regardless, we'll see how all of this stacks up, if they add more incentives before the end of the quarter, which would be coming up in about a week, and how their sales shape up for this quarter. Next up today, Tesla has added a new Sentry mode feature that is specifically designed to deter vandals. Lately, Tesla has been seeing a large increase in people vandalizing cars at dealerships, cars at service centers, and random customer cars parked out in the wild. For the Cybertruck specifically, Sentry mode will now play music at the maximum volume when the vehicle's cameras detect activity. This was actually quietly added to the Cybertruck website as part of the list of features here. It says, enable Sentry mode to monitor your unattended vehicle or trailer and automatically activate the alarm, increase the touchscreen brightness, and play music at max volume if a threat is detected. Full details now say, if a threat is detected or the vehicle sensors determine there is a lot of jerky movement, like when getting towed or shaken, Sentry mode pulses the headlights, sounds the alarm, displays a message on the touchscreen that indicates cameras may be recording to inform individuals outside of the vehicle, alerts you of the alarm on the mobile app, saves footage of the event to a USB drive if installed. On top of this, quote, Tesla has ramped up security and activated Sentry mode on all vehicles at stores. Many are also hoping that Tesla will finally enable the pillar cameras to record for Sentry mode. For owners, this is good news, and we'll see what Tesla may be able to do at service centers, since customer cars typically don't have Sentry mode on when in service mode. Luckily, this is something Tesla can fix with a software update pushed to all vehicles quickly. We just saw over 80 Tesla vehicles vandalized in Canada, so things have gotten pretty bad. There's a lot to discuss here, though. First and foremost, don't do this. No matter what your views are on Tesla, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, or anything else, vandalism is not acceptable. Along with that, of course, neither is arson. It's illegal, and in many of these cases, it involves the damaging of people's personal property. So to this, some people might say, or yell, get rid of your Tesla. But we have to keep in mind that many actually worked very hard and continue to work very hard to afford these cars, and they did it for the reasons that a lot of these same people would have supported in the past. Everybody is in a different situation, but I know plenty of people who took on a higher car payment in order to drive a clean air vehicle, and one that they really enjoy. For the vast majority of Tesla owners, not only do they like and want to keep their cars, but they might not be able to afford to get rid of it anyway. In some cases as well, it's actually a huge cost difference to switch to another EV, so do we want them to go back to gasoline vehicles? Of course, we're seeing this vandalism behavior escalating, but it's important to note that this is extremism. There are many people who no longer want to support Tesla, but even in the midst of these acts and protests, it's actually fairly quiet and civil in most places. Telos of EV talked about this, and I've noticed it too. Online, it feels like it's scary to even drive a Tesla, but for myself, nothing has really changed. It's just a car in person. At this point, though, it's pretty impossible to tell what people's views are, what they truly value, and more. In the past, Tesla vehicles were praised by people for being environmentally friendly. Of course, Tesla's CEO has gone against the political views of many people who supported Tesla for years, but in these extreme cases, we're seeing the destruction of these vehicles. So not only do these people want Tesla to fail, the company that has sold more electric vehicles than anybody else, but they now don't appear to care about the environment in the same way. Burning any car, let alone one with a giant battery, is incredibly toxic and horrible for the environment, and terrible for the air quality in the immediate area. But the thing I really don't think people quite understand is the scale of Tesla. Tesla is the top-selling electric car brand in the US by a significant long shot still. In Q4 of 2024, Tesla delivered 154,900 vehicles in the US. In second place was GM with 43,982. Third place was Hyundai with 39,649, and fourth place was Ford with 30,176. So Tesla still held a 44.4% market share. Mind you, this is a market share of EVs, which makes up about 8.7% of all vehicles sold in the US. So if the idea here is that in response to Elon Musk, we want Tesla to go to zero, the company to go bankrupt and more, what are the real effects? Well, we'd see that 8.7% share of vehicle sales drop to somewhere around 4 to 5% with Tesla wiped out. As much as people want to support companies like GM instead, they are still scaling their EVs. It's not just that Tesla is taking their demand and we could redirect it to other brands. These other companies don't actually have additional production to make up this number, and they have to source the batteries to actually make more cars. So if you like the environment and EVs, wiping out Tesla actually significantly delays any goals there and keeps gasoline vehicles on the road for much longer. Not to mention the environmental cost of putting millions of EVs out of commission. If we should all sell our Teslas, who do we sell them to? What is the end goal? A lot of questions there. On top of that is the reality of profitability and how these cars are funded. Rivian just became the second automaker in the US to actually turn any profit on their EV sales. Tesla is of course the first, and Tesla has actually scaled so well that they still make more per vehicle sold than any other company. This comes alongside companies like Ford expecting to still lose $5.5 billion in 2025 on electric vehicles. So how can a company like Ford actually afford to lose $5.5 billion on EVs? How can GM afford to lose $2 billion in 2025 on EVs? By selling gas cars. That's what these companies do well, and the truth of the matter is, they only have really made electric vehicles because they now have to compete with Tesla. If they had the choice, it very much seems like a truly scaled EV wouldn't have come from them. I mean, they still aren't really there yet. The next 3 companies after Tesla still didn't make as much combined as Tesla did in Q4 of 2024. So wipe out Tesla and we're essentially left with Rivian. Rivian is great, but again, scale. They are working towards their more affordable R2 to come in 2026, so today their cars start at about $70,000. And this is something that Rivian's CEO is well aware of. In fact, recently he said, "When we look at Tesla and other manufacturers, I think it's incredibly important that we have a choice. We need Tesla to be successful. We need other manufacturers to be successful." Also, there's Lucid, and they are 59% owned by Saudi Arabia and not profitable yet, so you get the picture. If you want a sustainable solution here, wiping out Tesla is a significant setback, and based on the science, one we can't really afford. On top of that, Tesla is the most American-made automaker. Cars.com has detailed this, and a Kelley Blue Book study put all of their cars in the top spot, above GM, Ford, Honda, Jeep, and every other company that sells cars in the US. So Tesla is actually supporting American jobs more than any other company, and in fact employs 70,000 people in the US. If Tesla fails, of course, that's 70,000 jobs on the line. On top of that, we see people celebrating when the stock drops without realizing that the pension funds many rely on are actually invested in this company. Until recently, they were the favorite company of many because of their future potential and focus on the environment. Their mission is, after all, accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, and that really hasn't changed. But ultimately, maybe the view is that Elon Musk is too high of a cost for society, so Tesla is a necessary sacrifice, along with 70,000 employees and all of their investors who have money in the company. Well, what's the reality there? Elon Musk owns 13% of Tesla. So if Tesla hit $0, his net worth would drop significantly, but thanks to SpaceX, XAI, and Elon's other ventures, he'd still end up being worth a little over $200 billion with Tesla completely gone. If the goal is to eliminate his net worth, Tesla actually wouldn't really do the trick. It seems like he'd maintain his positions and political views, Tesla would be gone, there would be fewer EV options, legacy automakers might give up, and we'd be waiting another few years before getting more affordable EVs again. Ultimately, there are reasons that I think, regardless of your political views, Tesla should stick around. There's tons of nuance with all of this, though, and if you want to sell your car, want to protest, never will buy another one, and more, that's absolutely your right. I will always support the right to peacefully protest, even if I don't quite agree as to its effectiveness long term. However, there's a clear line in the sand between protesting and vandalizing. Vandalism is not something to ever be praised, and I think it's pretty clear lately that it actually has the reverse effect. There are, of course, some Tesla owners that will be intimidated by this behavior and worried about their own car and safety. That's, of course, a terrible, toxic way for vandals to achieve their goals, but it can work in some instances. However, what we tend to see more of is people doubling down on their support and doubling down on how badly the other side is behaving. On each side of the aisle, the us or them mentality grows and it increases the divide amongst all of us. Again, protesting is one thing, but as soon as you add violence and destruction into the mix, is there really moral ground to stand on? Next up today, over at Honda, they have announced that they are officially gaining access to Tesla's Supercharger network. Come June, Honda and Acura EV owners will gain access to 20,000 Tesla Superchargers. They said, quote, Honda Prologue and Acura ZDX owners will gain access to more than 20,000 selected Tesla Superchargers across the United States starting in June 2025 with the availability of the first Honda-approved NACS to CCS DC fast charging adapter. This is big news for anyone currently driving a Honda electric vehicle or people considering one in the future. It makes charging that much easier, and it's very interesting to see because it's a certain competitive advantage that Tesla definitely had in the past that they are now giving up. They're definitely giving it up in the name of overall electrification and accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, but it does make buying that Honda Prologue that much better. Overall, of course, that's great news for electric vehicle buyers, and I'm excited to see more and more customers charging at Tesla Superchargers. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the real-world cost of Cybertruck repairs based on my experience and others, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.